Welcome. Take it up with Jessica Lee. I'm here with Terri Hiskey, who is the VP of Global Product Marketing at Epicor Software. Hi, Terri. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Jessica. Thank you for inviting me. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, it's an exciting time. It's a scary time too. And I know Epicor provides software for like ERP, and you are handling the manufacturing side of the business. So I wanted to get your take on what kind of trends are you seeing in your industry?
Sure. Manufacturing has been really interesting during this time of the pandemic. A great number of manufacturers are also deemed as essential workers. So a lot of manufacturers have been working this entire time. But some of the things that they have been emphasizing during this time is one is the health and safety of their workers. So making sure that on the manufacturing floor that they have the proper amount of social distancing, that they have gloves and all the safety requirements checked off to keep their workers safe. We're certainly seeing a trend in manufacturing of e-commerce. A lot of manufacturers were not able to have their facilities open and needed a way to interact with their customers. And so a lot of them, made sure within the first few weeks of the pandemic to make sure that they had some sort of e-commerce or online portal that customers and suppliers could interact on. I would say the third trend is really the move towards automation. There were a lot of people that were still using paper-based processes in manufacturing facilities, which is not only slow and certainly an older process. It started to become something that was unsafe with the virus. People didn't want to physically pass paper from person to person. So we're seeing a lot of emphasis on companies looking at their processes and figuring out what they could use software to automate versus using these older manual processes.
Now you work with small to medium-sized manufacturing places, look like shops, right? These are, we're not talking about huge billion-dollar manufacturing. We're talking about smaller firms.
Yeah, we have a range of them. So we have certainly manufacturers at the top end too, but I would say the heart of our customers are mom and pop shops. They're, really the heart of America, right? The Midwest, smaller manufacturers that, are a little bit further down the supply chain to some of the bigger kind of tier one, auto manufacturers or some of those other places. So, they definitely have been hit hard. These are places that were already lean. They were already working, as smart as they could with the least amount of resources. And so to have something like this come in, unless they were deemed an essential worker, in which case it could keep their facilities open, it's definitely been impactful. So a lot of these places have been really looking to technology to kind of help them, keep going and really help them compete with a lot of the bigger players.
Now you're in charge of product marketing, which means you have to be out there understanding what clients need and then making the kind of roadmap planning to serve the demand. What are you seeing in the innovation and the excitement and the innovations that you're bringing out?
Well, what I'm really excited about, especially for small and mid-sized manufacturers, is the opportunity to leverage new Industry 4.0 technologies like IoT, like big data and analytics, like machine learning and artificial intelligence. I think the perception has been, at least, as these new technologies were introduced, that they were maybe cost prohibitive to people that were in small or mid-sized businesses that maybe don't have the money or the resources to experiment or play or pilot some of these technologies. So one of the things that I'm excited that Epicor has been able to do is that we've built a lot of these connection points and functionality into our products so that small and mid-sized companies have access to an IoT module that can help them monitor machines remotely. We have introduced something called Epicor Virtual Agent, which is artificial intelligence within our product to help, help those processes move faster and, so that these smaller companies then can leverage these technologies to make themselves even more competitive.
And are you finding that there are certain groups of people who adopt technology much faster than, and that's like, is there a generational difference between who accepts these things and who's a little bit more hesitant?
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, when we first introduced our Epicor virtual agent, we call her Eva. She's very much like a Siri for our Epicor ERP product. We definitely did find generational differences in people that, folks of, I would say Gen X, I'm a Gen Xer myself. The reaction was, oh, it's interesting. It's like Siri on my phone, but they didn't really, kind of shrugged, okay. But it was really the newer millennials, the Gen Zers that have been interacting with, voice activated assistants for much longer that really saw right away, wow, I could leverage this and my hands could be tied up, doing something on the shop floor, but I could use my headset to talk to Eva and get some information from her. And they could really see the power of what Eva could do. And we were definitely seeing adoption move across those, generational lines, where we're seeing younger people really gravitate towards that technology at a much faster pace than I would say older generations.
I see. So I take it they are the ones that's helping the older generation to understand the power of it and how to use it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And so when you think about the AI, and I know that has been deployed in a lot of places, do you see that as a permanent replacement of some of the tasks, and that shifts the people to taking on tasks that technology may not be able to do, maybe like being more creative and analytical, so that elevates their role, right? Or are you seeing actually an impact on reducing working hours for the workers or replacing their jobs?
No, I mean, we call Eva, she's a Epicor virtual agent or virtual assistant. She's not there to replace anyone. She's there to enhance the work of people that are already there. I mean, first of all, artificial intelligence, specifically in manufacturing, can actually help in areas that, were perhaps unsafe for workers or a little bit more dangerous. You can deploy machine, led technology, cobots and robots and things like that, which can actually help then, protect your workers. And then in other areas that we've seen AI, it's actually been more that it can help with, help newer employees as they come into the workforce. You can ask AI to help you build a workflow, for example. So that you're not having to take training. I'm an old schooler. I remember when I first used an ERP system, they used to send people to 4 or 5 days of training. Can you imagine that now? Nobody will go to 4 or 5 days of training. Everyone expects to be able to open up your software package and use it right away. And with AI, you can actually build in these pointers of, you can do this with this product. You can open up an order. You can check on a customer status using AI. So we found it actually makes workers much more productive because they're not having to manually search. They're not having to ask other people for reports. They can actually use AI to help guide them to the places that they need to get to.
Okay, that sounds great. Tell me about being a woman in manufacturing. I think manufacturing is usually more dominant with men.
Yeah, I've been in manufacturing for about 20 years now, and I would say it's definitely a male-dominated industry. I have been marketing in manufacturing for all of these years, and it's hasn't always been easy. It's definitely been a struggle. Sometimes being the only woman in the room, and I have the same stories as other people. Were very young in my career. As the only woman in the room, people naturally assumed I was the admin, or I was the note taker, or I was the one taking lunch orders. So, those are all, kind of smaller things, but over the course of working at a certain place, it kind of gets tiring, after a while. So I've definitely seen, and had to deal with a lot of those type of situations in the workplace, as well as even within companies I've worked for. There have been glass ceilings where, there are men that are managing literally teams of women, but as a woman, it can be hard to try to break through and get into those managerial roles.
So how have you done it then?
I've been lucky enough that I've had some great female mentors, in my career that have given me some great advice about, how to present yourself in a room, when you should insert yourself, to not apologize for seeming aggressive or not even aggressive, but, just assertive, and making sure that that's not negatively perceived. So I've had some great mentors. I actually have been mentoring, women myself, because I think, it does take someone to kind of guide you and give you those hints of how do you manage a room when you're the only woman amongst, 40 men, and how do you do that in a way that isn't making fun of yourself. It puts yourself in a good light, but then also puts everyone else at ease as well. So I've had a lot of help along the way to really, guide and give me advice to try to overcome those obstacles.
Now, have you had opportunities where you see a need and you just take the initiative to lead?
I have, and I've had that opportunity. You have to have the right management above you that will empower you to do that. And I've been lucky enough to work at organizations. Epicor is one of them, where they really encourage, people to, if you see a problem, say something. If you want to fix something, then step up and fix it. And you're empowered to do so. And you don't feel like you're going to get your hands slapped, or that you're getting sucked into some sort of political thing, with someone else. Here it's very equitable, and that if you see something that's unfair, or you want to help someone that is deserving, then that's something that, you can definitely take your own initiative and do that.
That sounds like a great culture. How did that come about? Is it top leadership down, or how is the culture?
Yeah, I would say it does start at the top. In fact, when I, first joined Epicor, because I had run into a lot of issues around, the glass ceiling and not feeling like I was, able to move my career. Certainly when I was looking at other companies, I was looking at, who's on your executive team? Are there women on your executive team? Is there diversity in your executive team? And I was pleased when I was interviewing at the time at Epicor, and I saw all of those things. In fact, at the time I was reporting to the chief marketing officer, who was a woman. And so it was I felt, it was good to see women in not just in marketing roles, but in sales roles, in support roles, consulting as well. So that was really important for me to see that diversity and to see that representation. And so, that was one of the things that I definitely looked at when I came to Epicor.
Do you still face challenges now that you've been there for a while?
Jessica, the challenges never go away. But there, I think that we are now able to talk about them more openly than perhaps before, instead of a side conversation with your other female colleague. I think that, that the workplace is open and up enough that you can have a conversation with, perhaps a male colleague who said something as a joke, but, maybe isn't funny to you, or, may come across as sexist or offensive. I think that the workplace is opened up enough that you can have frank conversations with people and not have to worry about retaliation or people getting upset or offended. I think people genuinely want to do better, and they're appreciative when you can point out, areas that maybe they weren't even conscious of that perhaps offended other people.
Right. I think we all have that unconscious bias.
Yeah.
And that's good. I mean, I do agree with you. I think a lot of people may not be aware. So when you point it out, it makes them realize it, and they can try to behave better.
Exactly.
Okay, great. Well, this has been a great conversation, Terri, about the innovation you're bringing to the manufacturing shops, the career tips that you provide for women in manufacturing. What are you looking forward to after we are over with this pandemic?
Oh gosh, I'm really looking forward to seeing our customers in person again. We've had a lot of video chats, video conferences, but I miss being able to connect with our customers in person, being able to walk on their floors and see what's going on. So definitely looking forward to those in-person visits again.
There you have it, folks. Take it up with Jessica Lee, Terri Hiskey from Epicor Software.